Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. And what we do around here is we break down psychological, emotional, and coaching related topics in a discernible way for you. We've got over 400 audios available for you to check out. So hopefully there's something that's there for you that's beneficial. Today we're going to talk about coping mechanisms, unhealthy ones that is. And if you are dealing with unhealthy coping mechanisms, I help people to find replacement coping mechanisms. As someone who has been in trauma recovery work for over 20 years at this point, certainly I'm super passionate about that. I went through my own journey and have helped 15,000 people through theirs. So, certainly can be of assistance to you there. In any event, please feel free to reach out either at PO Perception on Twitter or in the About Me section of this YouTube page. In any event, we're going to run through about 5 things that are unhealthy coping mechanisms that you may use that you might know are unhealthy, but you might just be in the habit of using them, or you might not realize how unhealthy they are. First one is faking happy. Toxic positivity has become a real thing, and the fake it till you make it mentality can work for a little while. But if you don't have a solution to actually make your life better, that is behavioral changes and modification, thought modification, where you admit your negative emotions and purge them, get them out so that they're not dominating. Because when you're faking happy, what really happens is your brain starts to go, what does it really mean to be really happy? And you start to trick yourself into not knowing your own emotions. Also, faking happy will cause you to suppress emotions in a way that's not healthy for you, not meaningful, and not in a way that people are going to take you seriously when you say you need help. So, ultimately, while certainly putting on a happy face in a social situation or at work or something is often necessary, do it in short doses, but also give your negative emotions an outlet. The next is isolation. So this is a tricky one. Obviously, we're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic that's probably not going to be gone for another several months, and if not longer. And so isolation is part of what we've known the last year to be. But that doesn't mean that we socially isolate completely. We still have phones, we still have things like Zoom and Skype, we still have the ability to connect via text message, we still have the ability to have watch parties on streaming services. There are ways to be socially connected. Just because we shouldn't or can't be physically close to somebody doesn't mean that ultimately we won't have or shouldn't have social interaction. If you find yourself isolating just to not have to deal with people, this is a sign that your mental health may be eroding a little bit, and it's a negative coping mechanism because when you have to be around people, you're actually making it harder on yourself, and also you're setting yourself up for eventual loneliness and other negative effects of long-term social isolation. The next thing is awfulizing. So awfulizing is the always going to the worst case scenario. In other words, it's raining outside, therefore I'm never going to be able to do anything fun ever again. Well, probably not true. It's raining outside and things today might get moved around, but that doesn't mean that it can't do something nice tomorrow, or that there can't be something awesome to do inside, or that maybe the rain doesn't clear up later in the day or at night. So there's many ways to look at things and say, hey, this is a bad situation, but it's not the worst situation. And also, when you go to awfulization, it's harder to make lasting friendships because if we're always looking for the worst case scenario, people are going to look at us and go, well, you're just going to panic, so I'm not going to tell you the truth. And then you feel kind of cheated or gypped or lied to or manipulated because you didn't get the full truth. But if you've set yourself up to where telling you the truth is a difficult thing or an unhealthy thing to do, that creates its own set of problems. The next thing is repression of emotion. So, we all do this from time to time, but when it becomes a habit, it becomes a really negative, impactful habit. So, repression of emotion is things like saying we're fine when we're not, or things like not actually dealing with negative emotion, using drugs, alcohol, sexuality, other addictive behaviors to kind of zone out and never deal with the negative emotions underneath. Repression is probably the most common unhealthy coping mechanism that people have because a lot of social teaching is that we shouldn't burden others with our negative emotions. And while it's true that we don't want to dump on everybody every time we see them, certainly someone who's in our corner and really invested in us isn't going to mind if we have a bad day here or there, or a bad stretch of time if we've just gone through a traumatic experience. So, repression of negative emotions, while it may get you through the day and maybe even the week, it isn't going to get you through a lifetime. And it isn't a healthy way to cope. The last one is romanticizing the past. Billy Joel, who is one of my favorite musical artists of all time, has a line in a song that says, "In the good old days weren't always good, and tomorrow ain't as bad as it seems." And that's a really valuable line because that's the truth. There's always going to be a certain level of when we're younger, we romanticize. You'll romanticize TV shows or your favorite comic book or that high school relationship you had or time with your buddies, time with your friends, or when you were a little kid and, Ninja Turtles were the best thing ever. Romanticization of the past is a huge part of human existence because we think nostalgically about situations. However, we can't recapture the past. We might be able to recapture the feelings of the past, the emotional state, but you can't go back with a time machine and, relive certain years or periods of your life. It's too bad we couldn't. I think a lot of people would benefit from that, especially with the hindsight of knowing what we know now, what we wish we'd known then. I think a lot of people would change their lives. Unfortunately, we don't have that technology at this moment, and so therefore romanticizing the past or awfulizing the future are both equally toxic things to do uh, as it relates to oneself. And so hopefully this is helpful. I encourage you to keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.